It's a new year. That means we have a whole new set of movies to be excited for. So today I'm going to give you my 10 most anticipated movies of 2024 live from Los Angeles. If you're new to my channel, my name is Sean Chandler, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. And if you're in the room, you probably already know who I am. So if you're on the video, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Let me know your most anticipated movies of 2024. Those of you in the room, go ahead and share with me during the meet and greet line, what are your most anticipated movies? Some of you have already done that, and I hope to cut those into the video that people are watching right now. So what I'm saying right now is incredibly meta. And as I looked at the movies coming out this year, on the one hand, there was a lot of movies that I was like, oh, I'm excited for that. Like my raw list had 30 movies on it, but there weren't that many that I was like, that's must see. Like last year, like new Nolan, you immediately go, oh, awesome. I didn't feel like I had that looking at this list for this year. So make of that as you will. Every time I look at these, I also try and think, what are my different ways that I get excited about movies? So it has some variety to it. It's not all the same types of movies. So keep that in mind. Coming in at number 10, Argyle. This is the new Matthew Vaughn spy film. It was actually on my most anticipated list last year, but it didn't come out last year, so it is still on my most anticipated list. It's kind of surrounded with a whole bunch of mystery of exactly what's kind of going on with the author, where the author is apparently not a real person, and then the author that is credited for the book that it's based off of is the character in the movie. And so there's all this weird stuff surrounding it. It's from the director of Kingsman and Kick-Ass, so he always has a ton of style, liveliness to everything that he does. And here's the big one. This is the most important piece. So Henry Cavill's in it. So always great to see Henry Cavill. We watched the trailer for the first time, my wife and I. Cavill walks out. He's got this killer new cut in it. My wife goes, Sean, I think we've discovered your new look for 2024. And I had to tell her, no, Jennifer, this is not gonna work. I'm not gonna do that. But she just loved his hair, and that's the opposite of what she was like. This movie looks awesome. That haircut looks awful. So I'm so excited to check this one out, figure out what on earth is going on with this movie. And I know someone that saw it almost, I think they saw it a year ago, because I think when I talked with them, it was after I talked about it being one of my most anticipated, and I know a few things about it, and it's interesting. I'm very curious to actually see it, and then likewise see people's reaction to the film. Next one on here, Joker Folie à Deux. I'm sure I mispronounced that because, well, I speak English. So, first Joker I thought was an interesting spin on the comic book movie genre. They're almost all big spectacle 4-quadrant movies that are PG-13, designed to be action films with a little bit of comedy thrown into them, usually sci-fi elements. And then the director of The Hangover is like, yeah, but what if we did one that was like pulling heavily from Martin Scorsese? Like, why do we do that? And probably shouldn't work. Went on to become the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. It worked for me, and I'm curious, I had, at the time I watched it, I hadn't seen The King of Comedy yet, and I hadn't seen Taxi Driver in a while. So now I've seen both of those movies, so I'm curious if that'll change my perspective of the movie, having the full proper knowledge of, well, there goes, they're having a lot more fun than we're having outside, whatever going on with them. I don't want to fully close the door, but I also get distracted easily by people having that much fun. Yeah, I think they loved my joke and they have great hearing. Is the door locked, though? Now leave her locked out. She was late. Oh, well, it is what it is. It's the reality. Shooting live, things happen. Where were we at? So, I really enjoyed the first Joker. I thought it was something fresh and different for a genre that, especially recently, gotten stale. We've seen all the superheroes with capes punch each other in the face already. And so it's something different. Now, I don't know what this movie's going to be. They're like, it's a musical. What? Yeah, it's a sequel to The Joker. How? Like, what does that mean? So I have no idea what this movie's going to be. I don't know how it's going to work. It could be a disaster. I've also seen The Hangover 2 and 3. Todd Phillips' track record with sequels, not good. So we're on a lot of borrowed trust here, but still, I enjoyed the first one, so I'm open to giving it a shot. Number 8 on here, Civil War. Now this is one that I don't know how I'll feel about this one. All I know is it wasn't on my radar at all. Alex Garland is one of those guys that he's interesting. Interesting can be great, and interesting can be not so great. And I see this trailer about the United States having a new civil war, and it feels like a solid, tense thriller. They're putting it out in an election year. And then all the interviews are like, well, we have such a polarized nation. You go, okay, I might hate this movie, but at least there'll be fireworks. At least it won't be forgettable. Or that's maybe the worst offense that it could be, if it's just generic and forgettable. But those movies that you watch it and you go, oh, I wonder what they're up to. Oh, I wonder what this is going to be. Just looking at the trailer, seems like the kind of movie that I'd be interested in. And there's a lot of potential there for there to be something interesting to be explored. And we'll see what that is. Yeah, I'm very, very curious to see what that turns out to be. Number 7, The Fall Guy. My wife has actually said a number of different movies are most anticipated of the next year. So I think at one point in time, this was one of her most anticipated films of... David Leitch, the Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt, the stuntman. See, there we go. See, as soon as we tell her what it is, now she's excited about it again. So essentially, it's a movie where Ryan Gosling is a stuntman, and he has to go and rescue the guy that he's stunt doubling for, and there's like a romance in it. It just looks like a fun adventure that doesn't take itself too seriously, and especially coming after Ryan Gosling's turn in Ken, where he's just so fun. I want to see more fun him, and this is fun him beating people up. So that's a nice combination for me in my mind. So I just saw that and I went, all right, this looks like a lot of fun. And this is another one where I know someone that has seen it, and the person told me it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a blast. It's just trying to put a big grin on your face. That's what it does. It's a fun blockbuster film. I was on Christian Harloff's show earlier this week, and we did a full preview of the entire year. Hour and 50-minute long, going through every single week of 2024, looking at what movies are coming out and talking about our excitement level. So if you want an hour and 50-minute long deep live where I talk with Christian Harloff about everything, you can check that out right up here. And there is a companion video to this one over on my Patreon page with all of my runner-ups for my most anticipated films of 2024. You can join Patreon for as little as $2 per month or $21 per year. So if you join this month, you can have all the exclusive videos, all of the exclusive live streams that happen in 2024 for just $21 per month. The information about that is down below in the description. Number 6 on here, Dune Part 2, another movie making its second appearance on one of my most anticipated movies of the year list because it was supposed to come out last year and they pushed it back 6 months. So we've been waiting on this one. We were supposed to get it in October. We're finally getting it a couple months from now. As someone that loves sci-fi, the first film I thought was great. I haven't read the books. It was also just I'm discovering all of this for the first time. Of course, Denis Villeneuve is one of the great directors of our time. And the production is just immaculate. And you think back of all of these movies over the last 2 years where we've been like, why does the VFX look so bad? Why is this green screen so bad? And then you watch the Dune trailer and you go, see? You can do it. Look, right there. Right. There. Looks like, see? Everything looks flawless. I believe that planet is real. Maybe they shot on location. Like you're watching, it just looks incredible. But also dense sci-fi that isn't watered down for the lowest common denominator. And some people thought the first one was too dull, too boring. I get it. That's fair. It's not big adventure, and there's a lot more. I get it, but that's also why I appreciate it, that it's taken its time to build out the mythology and everything. So I dug it. Number 5 on here, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Well, yeah, they're good. Excellent. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that to be the movie that got the woo. Yeah, that's for me. When I think of like which ones I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to see that. Like, I really dug the trailer they put out. I heard a lot of other people were like, I don't know. I know it's just a teaser, but I don't know. It didn't give me that. I watched it. I was like, yeah, like we're back in New York and it feels different. Like I totally dig this. And if you stop and think about it, all of the Ghostbuster movies we've had thus far really are kind of following the same formula, where Ghostbusters 2 copies the template of the first one. They swap out the bad guy and stuff, but it follows the beats for beats. There's several videos that have kind of mapped that out. And then you have 2 movies that, one was a reboot that team gets together, and then you have the soft reboot in the last one that also brings back the same bad guy from the original film. So we have 4 films that in some sense are kind of doing the same thing. I loved the last one that came out, but that we're going back to New York, and it just seems so different. Compatible, next step, but a different type of story. Just even the idea like this Frozen Empire, like, okay, well, how is that gonna work? And like, I'm old enough, I grew up on the old animated show where it's like every week there's some new ghost thing happening, and we're doing that. And then seeing Paul Rudd with a proton pack, like, yes, I'm all for it. And then like even I had a Kumail Nanjiani's in there, Patton Oswalt. It's like, yes, like these are all big wins in my mind. So that was one for me when I was looking at a year where there's a lot of sequels coming out. What's the one where I'm like, if I could watch it right now, what would I want to watch? That's one I would want to watch right now. Coming in at number 4 on here, Hitman. Now, you might not know what this one is. It's a Richard Linklater film that he co-wrote with my close personal friend that I've never met, Glenn Powell. So Glenn Powell, if you don't know, he went to the same high school as me. So he was Hangman in Top Gun Maverick. And I know some people that do know him, but I've never met him. But I think we'd be best friends because we went to the same high school. And as you guys know, everyone at high school is best friends, right? So he teams up with Richard Linklater, and they did this movie based off an article in Texas Monthly, it is the monthly magazine in Texas. We're quite proud of it. But there's some article that they adapted into a movie, and it played several film festivals back in the fall. Got rave reviews. There's 70 reviews for it on the Rotten Tomatoes. It has like 96%. Bidding war started. Netflix bought it. And so all of my critic friends that have seen it said it's just a ton of fun. It's really funny. Had only positive things to say about it. And since I'm rooting for my hometown hero, Glenn Powell, to make it big, well, even bigger, I'm rooting for the film. And it just sounds exciting, and it's different. It's not a sequel, it's not an adaptation, and supposedly a crowd pleaser, and I want us to have more of those. Real quick before I continue on with my list, during the live event, I asked the people what their most anticipated films of the year were, so here's what they had to say.
Gotta say, Dune Part 2, I love a director, Denis Villeneuve. I've been following him since Prisoners. Dune was really amazing. It reminded me of sci-fi Lord of the Rings.
Dune Part 2, I'm a huge sci-fi fan. Hoping it turns out as good as Part 1.
Really excited for the Roadhouse remake that's coming with Jake Gyllenhaal, Doug Liman.
Okay, so my most anticipated is Nosferatu. I'm a big Robert Eggers fan. I think that the cast in that film is incredible. I mean, this is like the movie that he's been wanting to make for years.
I'm going to go with Planet of the Apes, kind of by default. I think this is looking like a weaker year compared to last year. I had some heavy hitters with Spider-Verse, Oppenheimer, Barbie, Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken.
Are you kidding me?
Just kidding with that a little bit.
My most anticipated movie is Transformers. Probably not going to do as well as expected. I'm anticipating that.
My most anticipated movie is Joker Folie à Deux. The original Joker movie is probably my top 15 movies of all time, so I'm super excited for the new Joker.
I'm curious about the Joker sequel.
Inside Out too, because I really like the first movie, and I'm really excited to see the sequel.
I feel like my childhood is really coming back next year. We got Inside Out 2 and Kung Fu Panda 4, and then I think there's also Despicable Me 4.
So for me, it would be the Sonic 3 movie because it looks like a lot of fun and Shadow's going to be in it.
And for a series, I say The Boys season 4 because Homelander rules everyone.
Bad Voice 4 is another one.
If I'm not counting that, I'm gonna say Furiosa, just because it's George Miller, it's Mad Max. It's something that George Miller has wanted to do for years. That trailer like rocked my world.
I'd probably say Deadpool 3. I mean, the MCU has had a lot of misses over the last few years, and Hugh Jackman coming back and being rated R. I'm really interested to see what Ryan Reynolds has in store this time.
I'm very curious as to what they're going to do with Deadpool 2, with that one being an MCU first rated R movie in the MCU.
Kind of curious about Deadpool 3. I'm not sure if it's going to be good or not.
John Watts' new movie coming out called Wolves, I think, and it's got like Brad Pitt, original piece. So I'm really excited for it.
This one wasn't on my radar, so you're putting this on my radar also.
Yes, sir.
Is Blood and Honey 2 on there?
Well, it's not on this list, of course. Of course, it's going to be on the main list. It's in my top 3. But bringing me into my top 3, Deadpool 3. Yeah, well, there's the energy. So I believe this is also Griffin's most anticipated movie of the year. I'm sure we'll talk. No, we'll probably have some interesting conversation between the three of us about that one. I've got a ton of skepticism about this one as to how this will work. But how crazy is this? We only have one MCU movie next year. The one MCU movie we have for next year is a sequel to a Fox X-Men movie. That's weird. What does that mean? How is this going to tie together? And of course, we've seen all the cameos. And like, how's it going to? I don't know. And we have another new director stepping in. And then Mickey Mouse is the boss, but it's going to be rated R. Like, what does it mean? What is this thing going to be? I don't know, but that's also kind of what makes it interesting. And I have enough faith in Ryan Reynolds, and they didn't rush this movie out. As much as they really like money and releasing an enormous amount of stuff, we're talking about 5 years following up a movie that made bukus of money. So they took their time on it. So I'm interested. Our runner-up on here, Alien Romulus. I love the Alien franchise, as you guys know. Also, there are several of them I'm not so crazy about. And I wasn't crazy about the ones Ridley Scott did over the last decade. And then they said they're going to have Fede Alvarez do one. And it's kind of coming from the same ballpark, the Hulu setup originally, and now it's going to be theatrical, that they did with Prey. And I think that's a really good model. Like, stripping back, like trying to make 200 million epic, like, no. The original Alien, even Aliens, they're tight, close quarters. And that's what Fede Alvarez is so good at. And just thinking of pairing a director and what I specifically like about that director with a franchise and what I like about that franchise, like that pairing, I go, yeah, I think that's what this franchise needs. So I can't wait to check that one out. But we got one more on here. Coming in at number 1, gotta go with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Loved that trilogy of films over the last decade. When I first saw when I heard they're doing a prequel to Planet of the Apes, Franco's in it, I'm like, oh, whatever. What's the point of this? And then came out. I didn't even see it in the theaters. It was like, whatever. Went and rented it when you could rent it. Got it from Redbox or something like that. Watched it and went, this thing's incredible. Like I was blown away how much I actually cared about the character of Caesar. And then that continued throughout the other 2 movies. And so they have a new director coming in, Wes Ball, who did the Maze Runner movies. I'm not as crazy about him, but they're also keeping the story group that was behind the original trilogy. There's writers behind that wasn't just Matt Reeves. And so that story group's still present for this new set of films. It's actually the same story group that's working with James Cameron on the Avatar films, which in another sense you might say that's not the strongest element of those films. But like, it's the same people crafting the story that did it before. And I go, well, I like that. That's a good setup then. So for me, I just adored those movies. They made me care about them they just found a way to do spectacle that also had like a Shakespearean tragedy to it. They felt smart, it felt earned, and you could have a ape on a horseback, dual-wielding machine guns, battling a tank, and then you'd start crying over like a father and son relationship. And with apes. Like, and you're going, how did this shouldn't work. But it did. And so that for me is my most anticipated because that trailer captured all the vibes, all the feels. So it comes in at number 1. Be sure to join me down below in the comments section if you're not present in the room and in fact are on the internet. Let me know your most anticipated movies of the year.
If you enjoyed this video and want more like it, remember there is the companion video over on Patreon for $21 per year. You can get all of the weekly live streams, all of the exclusive videos. Also, you got that full preview of all the movies coming out this year over on Christian Harloff's channel. Thank you so much for watching and keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.